Hi, Jack Olesker here, and I'm back. And much more importantly, you're back. So apparently I'm doing something right, which is a good start to any project, I suppose. As I said in the first episode, this is going to be unexpected. I'm going to be up, down, all around. And that's really the way my career has been in over 40 years as a writer, producer, and a director. My novels are kind of like a microcosm of what my career has been. You never know what you're going to get with a Jack Olesker novel. It could be romance. It could be a murder mystery about the knitting industry and a yarn shop. It could be a horror novel about a priest that's taking the place of another priest that committed suicide in his confessional booth. And why would a priest give up the kingdom of God by committing suicide? You just never know what you're going to get with me. So you're never going to know what you're going to get in this series of episodes that we like to call a writer's life. You're going to have questions. Gosh, if I was you, one of the questions I've have is, look, it's March, it's almost April, and this guy's got a Santa Claus mug on his desk. Why is he doing that? Why does he have a reindeer on his desk? Well, as you'll find with most things in my sometimes bizarre life, there's a good reason, okay? And the reason is about 2 months before Christmas this year, you started seeing all these trailers for Christmas movies that are being done on television. And I'm sure, if you follow the industry, you're aware that Christmas movies are a big thing. And Kim wisely suggested to me, hey, honey, you love Christmas. Forget about Sparky Griswold in Christmas Vacation, okay? I'm the guy. When Alex was a little boy and his friends were coming home from school, they'd walk by our house, the outside, all the lights on, so many wreaths inside and everything decorated to the hilt for Christmas. And one of his little classmates said, Alex, your dad's house looks like Santa's workshop. And I told Alex when he told me this, I said, tell him it is Santa's workshop. And Kim, of course, is smiling over here. And I made a deal with her. We've been married for 28 years. I made a deal with her a long time ago that every year I could keep one thing that's a Christmas decoration in our house. And in an expansive moment, she agreed to it. And over a period of 28 years, I ended up with 28 things that were for Christmas. And then just before the holidays this year, she said, honey, you're such a Christmas nut. Why don't you take a shot at writing Christmas movies? And I did my research and I found out that last year there were 143 Christmas movies on television. And I thought, that's a pretty good market. So I sat down, started pounding out Christmas scripts, and this is one of my scripts, Mistletoe, a Christmas fable. I'm very happy to say that yesterday I got a call from Hallmark Channel and they said, send us the script. So I filled out the submission form and shot it out to them. And I hope that it gets accepted. Like I told you before, it's not about getting it accepted. It's not about shoving that flag into the top of the mountain, as good as that feels. It's about the journey. And in this episode, I want to talk about how you take that journey. You take that journey by taking a shot. You gotta take your shot. Nothing will ever happen unless you do it. My dad, I'm going to be telling you a lot of stories about my old man as time goes by. Grew up poor during the Depression, worked in the steel mills in Gary, Indiana, shoveling out ashes from the furnaces. My mom talked him into trying to start a clothing business in the middle of the Great Depression. And they did that, and he lived in the back of his store with her, rats running around. And somehow or other, they built this clothing empire. They used to go to a place called Maxwell Street in Chicago. They'd buy third-hand clothes. Men used to wear their clothes till they'd fall apart in those days. My mom would re-sew the buttonholes, and she'd take a zipper from one pair of pants, put it in another pair of pants, and sew it in there, and they'd put it together with a vest and sell it for maybe $2 or $3. They ended up with 8 clothing stores in Chicago, 250 employees, boy, only in America. And my dad barely graduated from high school, but he was one of the best businessmen that I ever knew in my life. We were walking down the street in Chicago past Kresge's. I don't know if all of you are old enough to remember what Kresge's was. It became Kmart. And they had this huge store in Chicago across from Carson Peary Scott. And my dad said he needed some candy, and my brother and I walked inside. And my dad walked around, and he said, "We can get this store." And my brother said, "Are you out of your mind? This is Kresge's. This is one of the most powerful organizations in the world." And my dad took out a dime. He says, "Here." He says, "Call him up and ask." And my brother called, worked his way up through the hierarchy at Kresge's, finally got their vice president of real estate and found out that Kresge's was moving out of the downtown areas out to all the suburbs, and that they could get that store, like my dad said. My dad took that store. It was $10,000 a month. He cut off a third of the front and subleased it to a guy that sold radios and televisions for $12,000 a month. So he netted $2,000. And my dad said, it's all a question of knowing what to look for. My brother asked him, "How could you know that we could get that store?" And my dad said, "Because the candy bins were low. They weren't filling it up with candy." He said, "It's not about having an MBA. It's about MBWA, management by walking around." And he was always a guy that would take a shot. And I'm going to talk a little bit to you about taking your own shot. Wayne Gretzky, the hockey great, once said a line, "Wow, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." I want you to take your shot. Whether you want to be a writer, a producer, a director, whatever you want to do, I want you to take your shot. You want to write, you got to get your butt into your chair, and you got to be writing every single day. And I told you I'm going to give you tips. I'm going to give you a valuable one right now. How do you write a book? I'll tell you how you write a book. You know your beginning, you know your end, and you know 3 points along the way. If you do that, you can go off onto tangents. But if you've got those 3 points along the way, it's like a North Star that'll pull you back and keep you going on your way. And where do you get your ideas? You get your ideas from reading newspaper articles. You get your ideas from listening to friends talk. You get your ideas from watching television. Read a newspaper article only halfway through, and then finish the last half in your own mind, and now you've got an idea for a novel. So, taking your shot, that's what's important. My wife, Kim, always likes to say that you have to be proactive. And my dad always used to say, you must make it happen. I was working in the men's clothing business, living really good in Chicago on the 47th floor of a high-rise called Lake Point Tower. 23 years old, driving around in a Mercedes. I hated it. I didn't like the clothing business. I was a writer. And I'd get up every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd write for 2 hours before I'd go into the store. I'd come home at 10 o'clock at night after working 6 days a week, and I'd write for another 2 hours. And I took my shot. And I knew so little about the publishing industry at 24 years old that I put my only copy, this is before they had computers, of my manuscript into a shirt box. And I sent it to G.P. Putnam's sons, okay? I'm not a writer that pays somebody $1,000 so they can publish a book that they can give to their friends. My books are published by major publishers, Signet, New American Library, G.P. Putnam's sons. When I sent my manuscript into G.P. Putnam's sons, if I had known that they got 5,000 unsolicited manuscripts a month, I might not have sent it in. But I did send it in. And a second reader picked it up out of the slush pile, moved it up to a lady named Marcia McGill who worked with first-time writers, and G.P. Putnam's gave me an advance of $2,000 to publish my first novel. It was called No Place Like Home. If they had offered me 2 books of green stamps, most of you are too young to know what green stamps were, but if they had offered me 20 cents as an advance, I would have taken it. The book got published. The book ended up being a bestseller. MGM bought the film rights to it before it was out of galleys and even published. And the next thing I knew, I was loading up my little TR-7, moving out to Los Angeles, not knowing a soul, but knowing one thing. I had to take my shot. You need to take your shot. And that's what's important in life. You're not going to hit a home run if you don't swing. And Gretzky was right. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So take that shot, think about it hard, and then we'll talk in the next episode. Have a blessed day.